And I think that's the opportunity for this initiative is that we are, one, democratizing that training. So you don't have to pay for the training. And I think the opportunity is you don't have to wait for that to happen to you. We can be able to accelerate your learning. So it just takes maybe, I think a lot of our courses can start between 2 hours to 4 hours, and you already have that skill set to be able to position yourself a bit better. A lot of the training that you'll see is in terms of like, how do you become more productive, right? How do you ensure that you can do your tasks a bit better? When you think about AI, it's more of like a what we call them co-pilots. They are supposed to assist us in terms of, one, areas where you're maybe not strong at, you can become strong at. For example, if you're not so great at, let's say, writing reports, right? Or you don't get excited about it. It can give you a nice fast draft so that you don't have to do the heavy lifting, for example. Or if you don't enjoy, I don't know, reconciling statements or whatever, it can help you to do a bit of that work to be able to become more productive, but also enjoy your work a bit more. So I think it's helping you to think about what are the areas you might not, one, you don't like, the mundane tasks that AI can do, or where places where you don't feel super confident, but you can learn using AI. And I think we've seen that opportunity. Like I've used it for areas where I felt like, for example, even just replying emails. Sometimes you need to use a particular tone, a particular way of positioning your messaging. How do you ensure that you can be able to, one, it helps you to just generate an email that can, really kind of save your time, but also kind of sound more professional, or, position your messaging a bit better so that the tone actually conveys the message a bit better, so you also position yourself a bit better from an employee perspective. So it's supposed to support you and accentuate your skill set rather than limiting you or removing the opportunity for you. So I think there are people who start seeing, and I think that's why we're encouraging that people start using it and start experimenting with it, because when you start using and experimenting, you start seeing the opportunity of how you can use it. And I think that's what we are really trying to encourage with this initiative. And the reason why we're focusing on those particular sectors that I mentioned, like, for example, financial industry, and I think the financial industry, you'll see that it's way more advanced from a technology perspective. And so you can see already the opportunity in terms of really accelerating from adoption of AI will be there. Also healthcare and education. Education, I think for us is critical, because it means that if they're able to adopt it, then that means also the kind of talent you're churning out will be much better. And then also in terms of, I think, agriculture. I think there's a lot of already organizations that have been working on AI for the last couple of years. I think since 2018, we've been talking about AI, right, in the local context. So I think there's already a lot of appetite around what can it do, what opportunities can it unlock for farmers, especially smallholder farmers. And so it's an exciting opportunity to see, now with the new technology like generative AI, what can it do in terms of giving access to information to the farmers, but also being able to translate it to local languages, which I think not everyone speaks English. So how do we kind of meet people where they are to make sure that we can translate that information in the way that they need it? But I think one of the areas where we are trying to support or at least partner with the local media, I think it's one, awareness. I think with new technology, you need to make sure that everyone knows about it, but also you can communicate it in the best way possible, so that you actually can, not everyone speaks English, that's number one. Not everyone kind of understands what AI is. How do you break it down to a child or someone who is potentially even illiterate, right? So I think being able to leverage the experience of communication through media will be a critical piece in terms of being able to just even get to a place of social acceptance of what AI is. And then we can move on now into, okay, now that we have adopted it, what are some of the great use cases that you are seeing that AI is transforming the economy, right? And start showcasing some of those stories. Because I think through storytelling, then we can be able to really transform people's perception of what it can do or what it cannot do, right? And I think, as you rightly said, I think the opportunity as well is talk about cybersecurity, the risks as well in terms of what it can, like what are the risks of being able to adopt these technologies, and how do we make sure that people are well protected. So I think those ethical considerations are equally important as we think about adoption of AI and driving AI at scale. You're right. Yeah. We actually have been a very extensive program. So we did a skills assessment of government in terms of just understanding what their skill sets are currently, and then start mapping out what are the the skill set that they need and the learning pathways that they need to take based out of the roles that they have within government. So it will be a very kind of customized training according to your role, but also according to your sector. So not only just there'll be policymakers, yes, and I think that's important to make sure that they understand what these technologies are so that they can make the right level of policy, but also in terms of, a lot of the government will be users. It will be people who will be using it for their day-to-day work. So making sure that they have the right level of skill set to be able to adopt these technologies, but also even developers. So from a technical perspective, so really going down to the details of, being able to use cloud, understanding what AI is, understanding how to manage your data, being able to, understand cybersecurity. So really getting into the details of it, but also hopefully facilitating innovation within government as well. So there will be a lot of more opportunities for us to engage, and hopefully we'll be launching that program soon, and we'll give you a bit more detail on how that will actually work. The outcome we are hoping to see is, one, I think better connection to opportunities in the market. I think that's one. Two, I think the positioning of Kenya. I think the way we've been talking about Kenya being a global talent hub, really ensuring that we have that level of skill set and giving young people better opportunities outside this particular market. So you're not limited to the opportunities in Kenya, but also you can be able to access opportunities, for example, online or remotely, depending on what you're hoping to achieve. But also three, I think what I'm quite passionate about is thinking about how we can revolutionize the SME sector, and thinking through what can we do to ensure that they can adopt these technologies, but also help them to become more competitive and productive as well in the economy, so that they can grow. So really being able to think about how do we do that a bit better.